The world is full of keen anglers, masters of casting a rod into the water and ripping something big out from the depths. But some catches are so big, they make the average catch look tiddly. There are some catches where it's hard to believe a human could yank such a thing out of the water. These are the biggest catches of all time.
Number 15. The Atlantic Goliath Grouper. You may need to make friends with an NFL linebacker before you head out to catch an Atlantic Goliath Grouper. It takes the strength of a professional athlete to reel in one of these whoppers. That's how it was done by one group of anglers in Florida, as they encountered increasingly bigger fish from 400 pounds through to an estimated 600. These gigantic fish measure at least 8 feet and can actually weigh up to 700 pounds. Just so you can get your head around that weight, that's heavier than a fully grown male tiger. But perhaps you've never attempted to pick up a tiger either. The biggest of the sea bass family, the Goliath grouper is scarily efficient at feeding. It simply sucks its prey into its huge mouth. All kinds of stuff gets swallowed up, from other large fish and even the odd small shark. This hungry fish doesn't even need to chew. A very important part of the reef food web, this mammoth fish is actually now on the critically endangered list. Fishing the Atlantic Goliath grouper is forbidden, so if you do accidentally find one on the end of your line, you should be sure to return it to the ocean. Don't mess with them though, as many anglers report that the Goliath grouper can be kind of aggressive, harassing the fishermen and often taking the bait from their lines, preventing the catch of any smaller, legal-sized fish.
Before we go on, like this video, smash the subscribe button, and click the notification bell right now, or this centipede will crawl on your face when you're sleeping. And now it's time for the sweet topic. Whaling in Japan has been going on since around the 12th century, though it didn't begin operating on an industrial scale until sometime in the 1890s. These days, big hunts are highly controversial. That raises the question, is there a bigger catch than a whale? No, and this photo shows a seriously big one caught by a Japanese whaling boat. There's been an ongoing global ban on commercial whaling, which brought a stop to the Japanese tradition. But relatively recently, Japan chose to rebrand its whaling activities in such a way they've been able to bring it back. What do you think about that? Comment down below with the hashtag #SweetTopic and let us know your opinion in relation to what we just showed on screen. With that said, let's keep things moving.
Number 14. The striped bass fish. You can tune a guitar, but you can't tune a fish. Unless, of course, you play bass. I'm so sorry, I couldn't help it. So many fishy puns, so little time. The striped bass is the beloved catch of seasoned anglers and fishermen all over North America. These fish usually weigh in at about 20 to 40 pounds at adult weight. But every once in a while, a fish comes along to make a guy's or gal's day and provide them with big fish stories to tell for years to come. Some of these tales will be told and retold till that big old fish has gained 50 pounds and grown a full beard and popped out of the water singing "Take Me to the River" like a big-mouthed Billy Bass from the 90s. Occasionally, a 60-pounder comes your way, and that is a great day indeed. And there are certainly tales of 90-pound monsters. The biggest recorded striped bass was actually pulled from Long Island Sound by angler Gregory Meyerson in 2011. It weighed almost 82 pounds and measured 54 inches long. Basically, a walloping big whale. Number 13. Massive whale shark in Pakistan. The largest of the sharks, the whale shark, is a mighty ocean beast. But the colossal creature caught in the Arabian Sea by a group of Pakistani fishermen is a terrifying large example. The fishermen discovered the already dead whale shark and took it back to Karachi, Pakistan. Measuring 40 feet long, this huge catch was a sight to behold. Upon reaching the harbor, the gigantic carcass was hoisted onto the shore to display to amazed crowds of people before being sold for meat. Disturbing, but fascinating. The rarely spotted whale shark is actually a protected species, so don't even think about powering up your tugboat and trying to reel in one of these epic creatures. Number 12. The biggest Greenland shark. Whilst out kayaking in Greenland in 2014, surprised angler Joel Abrahamson captured the biggest Greenland shark on record. Sounds like a relaxing weekend's paddle, no? At 15 feet long, the Greenland shark gave the angler a tricky job. Strapping himself into a harness, he wrestled with the behemoth for an hour and a half before eventually getting the upper hand over this 200-year-old creature. You'd think a fit guy like this, who prepared for the challenge by heaving 60-pound blocks of concrete from the bottom of the lake, could get the better of a pensioner, right? This ancient beast was a colossus, however, and weighed a staggering 1,200 pounds, perhaps a little more than the average elderly fish, so credit where it's due and all that. Number 11. The giant stingray. Is this the largest freshwater fish in the world? I know you can't believe any old big fish story you hear, but hang on a minute, this one is a biggin'. Also known as the whipray, the giant stingray is the stuff of legends. Rarely seen, but with local tales telling of gigantic 1,000-pound fish, this species is the prize for anglers looking for something epic. In 2009, it was announced that the largest catch of this incredible creature had been documented on an expedition by National Geographic in the waters of Thailand. The colossal catch measured 2 meters, 6.6 feet wide, and a mighty 6.9 feet or 2.1 meters long. This poor creature, though, had lost its tail. I wonder if they named it Eeyore. If it had still been attached, it is likely that this ray would have measured up to 5 meters long. Unfortunately, it seems as though they got the giant stingray's measurements, they didn't weigh it. So we can only guess that it was likely to have weighed at least 450 kilos, being the heaviest of its species previously known to humankind. While scientists are still searching and discovering more about this huge fish, we can only imagine just how many giant stingrays actually exist, and perhaps even bigger versions yet to be found. Maybe these are just the babies. Number 10. A giant 27-pound lobster caught in Maine. And in the red corner, weighing in at 27 pounds of pure punching power, a lobster? Used to a much more miniature catch, Maine fisherman Robert Malone was in for a big shock when he hauled in a colossal crustacean in his net. Not unfamiliar with the odd lobster, of course, Malone was taken aback by the sheer scale of this massive lobster. He found it notable enough to deliver the creature to the Maine State Aquarium for further scientific investigation. Was this a new monster species or a Jurassic Park escapee? Turns out, no, just a regular lobster. This one, however, did capture the imagination of those who encountered it. Wow. Being the biggest example many have ever seen. Nicknamed Rocky on account of the crustacean's enormous boxing glove-like claws, this lucky lobster was returned to the ocean after the aquarium had taken down its vital statistics. I wonder if Rocky is still out there, running up flights of stairs and bulking up in training to knock out the next unsuspecting fisherman to catch him in his net. Number 9. 12.5-foot giant big-eye thresher shark caught in the Florida Keys. Ah, aliens have landed! You can be forgiven for thinking this was an extraterrestrial life form given its bizarre appearance, but this is not leaked footage from inside Area 51. This bug-eyed alien was actually caught in the waters just off the Florida Keys. Captain Nick Stancic of Islamorada is a seasoned fisherman who takes excited groups out on very successful fishing trips for swordfish. He is the best there is in this challenge, having caught and released more swordfish than anyone else on the planet. So this guy knows how to catch the big stuff. But even he was surprised when, after a 2.5-hour wrestling match, what the team actually reeled in was not a swordfish, but an enormous big-eye thresher shark. These cool-looking monsters have huge eyes, so they can hunt at deep levels in the ocean where the light is low, and then towards the surface at night in the dark, too. The big-eye thresher shark also makes for a pretty weird selfie, so all the folks out on the boat that day uploaded a pretty unique post on Instagram. That shark was definitely doing it for the gram. Looks insane even in low light. Number 8. Pacific bluefin tuna. All the big fish need to look out. This angler only catches the biggest of all the big fishes. Donna Pascoe, an angler from Auckland, New Zealand, has been busy breaking records all over the ocean. First, on the 20th of February 2014, she wrangled for more than 4 hours with a colossal Pacific bluefin tuna, which weighed in at a rod-snappingly huge 411.6 kilograms. Pascoe then became the record holder for having pulled in the most gigantic fish ever by a female fisher in New Zealand, a whopper of a record. Then things get a bit spooky and even bigger. 3 years later, on the very same date, 20th of February, Pascoe was out on the water again when the fishing line peeled, indicating that there was something on the end of it. Little did she know that the fish at the end of the line was yet another record buster. This time, a massive marlin at 420 kilograms was about to enter the record books, beating Donna Pascoe's own record for the tuna. I guess February 20th must be a date that big fish fear, if they keep a calendar, that is. Number 7. Massive whale shark snared by Chinese fishermen. I don't know about you, but this next one sounds a bit fishy to me. Sorry, no more carpy puns, I promise. This whale shark met its sad end in an alleged accident with a net. Captain Chang Zhu, a Chinese fisherman, caught this colossal fish off the coast of the Fujian province back in 2014. It was alleged that the 14.5-foot fish, which weighed a mammoth 2 tons, was accidentally caught in the fishing boat's net where it died while the fishermen tried to free it. But since the whale shark is an endangered species and it is very illegal to catch one, you probably would say it was an accident too, wouldn't you? Whether there was something more sinister afoot or not, the captain took the behemoth through the streets of Jiaoxi to market, with the intention of selling the unfortunate beast. This caused quite the outrage, and eventually authorities prevented the sale on the grounds that it was still illegal. What do you reckon? Does this tale seem to have a whiff of fish about it? Number 6. 143-pound catfish new world record. Blue catfish caught at Bugs Island Lake in Virginia. In the catfish world, the blue catfish is the big daddy of all catfish, with massive big fat cats being sought and caught fairly regularly. But the gigantic blue catfish caught by high school football coach Nick Anderson on June 18, 2011 was something totally gargantuan. Weighing in at 143 pounds, this catfish colossus was 57 inches long and an impressive 47 inches in girth. That is one fat fish. Just look at the size of it. The fishermen caught this monster at Bugs Island Lake in Virginia, a hot spot for catfish capture by all accounts. It took a sweaty 45-minute wrestling match to finally retrieve the giant fish from the waters into the boat. The anglers then had the difficult task of finding a scale that was a match for the epic proportions of this massive catfish. The previous hauls from this particular lake leveling out around the 109-pound mark. Virginia is a tricky place to be a catfish, it turns out. Not only is it likely that one of the local angling enthusiasts will be hauling you out of a lake at any given moment, there is now a bounty on your head. Considered an invasive species, this poor, ugly creature is now being pursued by agencies in the state of Virginia, encouraging the capture of the blue catfish by opening up the state's waters to commercial fishing. The goal? To eradicate the blue catfish from Virginia. Number 5. The largest bull sharks ever caught. Most people have heard of great white sharks, and they are definitely to be avoided if you value your limbs. But, as it happens, you should probably know that most shark attacks on humans are probably actually bull sharks. These toothsome frights are often recorded traveling vast distances in warmer waters, and they aren't fussy if that water is the ocean, an estuary, or a river. Bull sharks are also known as Zambezi sharks, due to just how often they pop up for a snack in the Zambezi River. The largest ever caught and measured was during a survey of those formidable beasts in the Breed Estuary in South Africa in 2009. The humongous female was measured at a whopping 4 meters. I don't know how big that makes her teeth, but I wouldn't want to poke about in there to find out. The research team recorded this bull shark's info, tagged her, and sent her off again. The shark's behavior was then tracked for the following couple of days. What they discovered was super scary. The shark did take a little jaunt out to sea, but mainly spent her time idly perusing the boats on the river and anglers on the shore, eyeing up a snack or two. All those arms and legs looking like cartoon hams. Seems like she was taking notes on the latest dining hotspots along the estuary, and probably not just to write up a useful guidebook of the area. If I were you, I would avoid a dip in those waters. Number 4. 700-pound alligator in Georgia. Is this the biggest alligator ever caught? Discovered in an irrigation ditch by a Georgia farmer, this gigantic creature measured an extraordinary 15 feet long and weighed an estimated 700 to 750 pounds. Alligators are unusual in that they continue to grow as they get older, so the bigger an alligator is, the older it is likely to be. This hulking gator is estimated to have been at least 50 years old, which is flipping ancient in alligator years. Not only was he old, this reptile was super tough. When eventually captured after a 5-man crew wrangled the extraordinary animal for over 5 hours to get him out of the ditch, they discovered that the gator had evidence of several gunshot wounds. A big old badass, like an actual dinosaur. Since being removed from the endangered list in 1987, alligators are hunted during different seasons in various U.S. states they inhabit. In Georgia, hunters are limited to 1 kill during the season. I imagine many of those hunters looked on with total disbelief at the massive size of this beast. Number 3. Massive tiger shark caught off Australia. Although the tiger shark is more likely to be doing the catching, there are occasions when a truly gigantic tiger shark is captured either by accident or indeed by those out seeking trophies, or perhaps even revenge. Some of the most dangerous sharks in the world's oceans, tiger sharks are only second to the fearsome great white shark in their body counts for attacks on humans. They are frequently responsible for attacks on surfers in Australian waters, and many well-defined kill orders on their heads. These creatures are considered near endangered in the contemporary world, as there has been so much trophy hunting and fishing by people in recent years. No wonder these mighty creatures are mad at people and would bite your leg off as soon as look at you. Some of the biggest examples of the tiger shark that have ever been fished are recorded at 5 meters long. There are some tall tales out there though with some insane stories attached, like that of the fisherman known only as Matthew, who is alleged to have caught a massive tiger shark off the coast of Byron Bay in Australia in 2015, much to the entertainment of the entire internet. This guy claimed that he had caught the toothy whopper as it swallowed whole a smaller hammerhead shark that he had been reeling in. A fishy tale indeed. Number 2. World's largest cave fish discovered in India. Okay, so compared to some of the other colossal creatures we've encountered in this list, these cave fish may not seem up to much, but it's all relative, and these little big fish have been causing quite a commotion in the world of cave science people. There are maybe 250 species of cave fish, but the ones that have recently been discovered in northeastern India have scientists wondering. Cave fish are usually really small. It's tough to live underground, there isn't much to eat and no light. It usually means that these sorts of animals only grow to a couple of inches. These newly discovered fish though, they are 1.5 feet long and 10 times heavier. So the question is, how are they growing this big? What are they eating? The scientists don't really know yet. Like other troglobites, a cool word for cave dwellers, these fish are essentially blind and don't have eyes, but despite all the trouble that suggests, they are well adapted to their darkness and underground existence. In fact, the weird thing about these cave fish is that scientists think that they are probably still in the process of evolving into whatever the best adaptation of the cave creature might be. This is equally awesome and scary. What other functions do you imagine a cave creature might need? Legs? Or claws? Or giant fangs? Number 1. 100-kilogram giant Siamese carp fishing in Thailand. Always a great prize for a fisherman, a massive fish is the ultimate goal. If you catch a fish that is twice the size of any usual catch, then that has to be considered a great day. That's what the anglers in Thailand felt when they caught the 3 gigantic carp that made up their haul. The first was an 80-kilo giant Siamese carp, the biggest they had ever seen. What followed was an astonishing catch of a single gargantuan carp of 100 kilograms. They couldn't believe it. Can you? Finally, and somewhat disappointingly, a regular old 50-kilo carp rounded off the day's fishing. Carpe diem. When you consider that carp generally only weigh up to about 40 to 50 kilos, and that's the big ones, then this is an awesomely impressive catch. Well, how was all that fishy business for you? There are certainly some Titanic-sized creatures out there in the deep. What do you reckon? I think we're gonna need a bigger boat. Also, check out our other cool stuff showing up on screen right now. See you next time.